Okay, so when you're back on your main dashboard, what you'll see is below the multiple choice section, there's the hazard perception section. So let's click on that and let's look at the various ways that you can study for and practice the hazard perception clips. Okay, so we've got a few options here presented to us. We can watch some instructions, which I won't bother playing to you now. It's just an official video that's been put together by the DVSA. You can also find it on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and just type in DVSA hazard perception, you'll find the same video there. Or you can start a test, which we'll look at the moment, or you can select a clip. So let's click select a clip first. And then what you can see here is all of the videos that you can potentially look at to help you revise for the hazard perception part of the Part 1 test. Now, any that are prefixed by CGI, that stands for a computer generated image. As we will see in a moment, they are very realistic, but they are CGI. Now, all the ones that you're going to get on your Part 1 test are going to be CGI, but because there are lots and lots of videos contained within this particular library, there are still some older ones in there that are just video. So anything that says video in front of it means it's a real life video, but you might find the quality of these is less sharp than the quality of the CGI ones. So I would recommend maybe focusing all of your attention on the CGI ones first and then move on to the video ones after. But again, that's just personal preference. You can delve into any of these at any point and study to your heart's content. As you can see, there are an awful lot of clips available. There are 62 in total. And on the day of the Part 1 test itself, you're only going to be asked to watch 14. Okay, so let's go back. Now let's click on Start Test and let's see what the options are that we have available there. Okay, now because this is obviously a visual test, there's nothing here in terms of giving us an option to use any sort of foreign language revision aid. Okay, so we've just got two options here. We can practice clips, which is a little bit similar to, if you like, selecting all topics in the multiple choice section. So when you click practice clips, you'll just get presented with one video after the other. You can practice for as long or as short as you like, and any video that you watch all the way through and you get a score for, when you exit that particular practice session, you know, those scores are going to be saved. Whereas if you click a mock test, it's the same as taking a mock test in the multiple choice section. You're going to be presented with 14 clips. They'll just be presented to you one after the other, and you have to watch them all the way through. And if you exit that mock test before completing all 14 clips, then it's not going to save your scores and you're not going to get an accurate result and feedback for yourself in terms of where you are in being confident to pass the hazard perception part of the Part 1 theory test. So my advice would be, before you go into mock tests, click practice clips, and then let's have a look at some of the revision tips I'm going to give you. So hopefully you're getting your head around the hazard perception clips nice and early, and you find them fairly straightforward to score well at. Okay, so let's click on practice clips. Now what you'll notice is, if I maximize the screen, it started to play the clip immediately. Okay, just this clip, I'm just going to let this run all the way through whilst I'm just giving you a little bit of information. Now what you're looking for as the person that's watching this clip is any situation, like we've got one coming up here with the motorbike. Okay, he's going to start to brake for that van that's just pulled out of him, and you're the driver that's behind, and then of course you've had to react to that motorbike slowing down, which was caused by the van pulling out suddenly in front of the motorbike. So that's what we call a developing hazard. Now, as you run through each clip, you're going to see two types of hazards. One's referred to as a potential hazard and one's referred to as a developing hazard. Okay, now you might get multiple potential hazards, but in 13 out of the 14 clips, only one of them is going to be, we'll just replay that again, just whilst I'm talking, okay? Yeah, you're going to see a number of potential hazards, but only one of them in 13 clips is going to then turn into a developing hazard, which means that you would need to react as a driver. So again, we can see the van starting to pull out. We should be reading this nice and early. We can be anticipating what the bike's going to do next, and therefore we would start to click well before that bike put its brake lights on, which we're going to do in a moment, and we'll see how that works then with the scoring system. Okay, so it could be that you're clicking all over the place whenever you see a potential hazard. Yeah, so like these cars coming over the hill, we might think that's a potential hazard. But then you need to click again, and I would strongly suggest click 2 or 3 times when you are very confident you've got a developing hazard starting to appear in front of you on the screen. Okay, because the earlier you click on that developing hazard, the higher the score that you're going to get. Okay, so this time let's retry the clip, but this time I'm going to start to click my mouse when I see that developing hazard start to appear. Okay. And then what you're going to see is down in the bottom right hand corner here, some red flags appear. So I'll click once there because that car could have been a developing hazard. It was a potential hazard, but it didn't turn into a developing hazard. I'll click again because I've got a bit of a blind view ahead. Oh, now the van's moving. Now I can start to anticipate what's going to happen next. Now I'm going to start to click several times, and then let's see if that managed to get me in the scoring zone, which goes from 5 through to 0. Okay, now it is a possibility that you can click a little bit too early, so rather than getting 5, your first click falls slightly outside the scoring zone, and that's why I recommend clicking several times. So if you're slightly too early, then the next click hopefully gets you a 5 or a 4. So let's let this run through to the end and see what score I got. Oh, I only got 2. Okay, so let's now watch that replay again, and let's see how early it wanted me to start to identify that developing hazard, because it looks like from that score I wasn't fast enough on this occasion. So when you click on watch replay and then you maximize your screen, what you're going to see now, as you'll see when you're using your own version of this app, is a bar at the bottom which is a time bar that shows you where the scoring zone was for that particular video clip. Okay, and then it gives you a little bit of extra information to explain to you why that is the scoring zone, and it also shows where your red flags, i.e. where you clicked your mouse, appeared on that timeline and where they fell within the scoring zone, if they fell within it at all. Okay, so let's click on watch replay, and again I'll optimize the screen and let's see the bar at the bottom. So you can see that down here. Okay, now as I highlighted to you, what you'll notice is here I actually did click, but when I saw things starting to happen, but I clicked a little bit late. So there I clicked when I first saw the van, but if I'd have clicked 2 or 3 times immediately after that, then I would have been very confident in scoring either a 5 or a 4. But as it is, I left it a little bit too late until the bike had already started to think about needing to ease off and brake for the van that was pulling out. Okay, so I nearly got there, but on this occasion I was slightly too early. Now, of course, the beauty with revising using these apps is we can go back and have another go, and by continuous practice, hopefully, we can get a good understanding of how the system times when we identify a developing hazard. So what I would say to you is, let's quit out of this one. We'll go back, we'll try it again, and let's see if we can get a 5 on this occasion. Okay, so as I say, by practicing clips multiple times, what you should find is you get much better at understanding when it is that you need to start clicking the mouse and how many times you need to click it. Now, just one word of warning on that. What you don't want to do is overclick. So let's go back, see if we can get a 5, and then I'll show you what happens if you actually try to almost cheat the system and you overclick. Okay, so let's retry the clip first, same clip as before. Let's maximize the screen. So again, I'll click on that card that was about to pull out or thinking about pulling out. Click again for the blind bend. Now I can see the van starting to move, but now let's click a few times. Now let's click a few more times. Okay, and then let's see if that's got us in the scoring zone. So we'll let the video run through all the way to the end. You can't fast forward it, so you just have to let it run through on its own. Okay, and then we get presented with the result, and yep, we got a 5 out of 5 that time. So if we now watch the replay again to help us again learn and develop when is the best time to click, what we can see here is I didn't get bang on right at the very beginning, but I still fell comfortably within the 5 scoring zone. This one then probably would have scored me a 4, this one a 3, and these two probably would have scored me a 2. Now, of course, what it doesn't do is add all of these scores up. It just takes the highest score that you got, and that's then what is recorded as your result for that particular clip. Okay, now these ones I think we can fast forward. So let's do that. Let's get to the end. Let's go back. And now let's see what happens if we try to cheat the system. Okay, so again, just for demonstration purposes, we're going to use the same clip. Okay, but let's assume I'd not seen this clip before, and my thinking was, well, if I just click every few seconds or so, then surely at some point I'm going to be clicking in the scoring zone, and that's going to be better than me trying to actually identify but potentially miss the developing hazard and then getting 0. Okay, so let's see what happens if we try to cheat the system. Okay, so here now, I'm going to maximize the screen. Here now, I'm just going to randomly click. Okay, just going to keep clicking. Oh, but there we see it says do not tap if there is no hazard. Sorry, do not tap if there is no hazard visible or tap in a pattern. Okay, now on this app, what it's then doing is giving us the opportunity to retry the clip. And if we retry it and we get a score, then it's going to record that score for us. However, when it comes to the real test, you won't get that option to retry the clip. Okay, it will just give you a score of 0 for that clip, and that's it. Okay, and then you'll just get presented with the next video. Okay, so don't waste the opportunity to get a score. You know, even if it's only a 1 or a 2, it might make the difference between you passing and not passing, because remember, you need to get a minimum score of 57 in total out of a possible 75 points that you can get for the hazard perception part of the test. So please don't waste points by just clicking randomly or clicking in a pattern as it suggests. Okay, and then finally let's have a look at taking a mock test for the hazard perception part. So let's click mock test and see what it says. Here it's telling us there are going to be 14 clips in the exam, which is the same as you're going to face on the day itself, one of which will contain 2 developing hazards. So it's telling us we're going to get 14 questions or videos, if you like. It's suggesting we're going to get 14 minutes in which to watch all 14 videos. Not necessarily 1 minute for every video, but you know, as we've seen, you know, they are quite quick. And we need to get a pass mark of 57 out of 75. And then we just start the test. And as I said to you before, they just get then presented to you one after the other. So it is important that you do stay sharp and focused right from the word go, because as soon as the video plays, the developing hazard could appear at any point from the first few seconds through to the last few seconds or anywhere in between. So be really sharp and focused. What I would say, particularly in residential areas, don't look just up the road as far ahead as possible. Look into side roads, and on rural roads like this, look around bends. Now here we can see those horses, and there's a van coming the other way. Okay, so it's likely that that's going to be the scoring zone. Okay, and hopefully, because I'd anticipated what was going to be happening there, and I've clicked nice and early and clicked several times, that's landed me a 5 or a 4, but I'm not going to get to find that out until I've completed all 14 clips. Okay, so here you can see it's just automatically then swapped from one clip to the other clip. Again, let's scan up the road, let's look into side roads, let's see if we can identify when developing hazard is started to appear. Again, click the mouse if you see any potential hazards. So we could maybe click on that parked car because we're going to have to come around it. And now we're clicking on that car that's coming towards us. Didn't really cause us much of a problem though, so that's probably not the scoring zone. Looking into side roads, looking behind large vehicles, cyclists coming towards us, I think, might come around that, or motorbikes going to come around that van. Okay, so again, because I spotted it nice and early and anticipated what was about to happen, again, hopefully that scored me a 4 or a 5. Now, as I've stated, if you aren't able to complete the mock test, and unfortunately your scores and results are not going to be saved, but let's exit out of it anyway. Okay. And then what you'll notice is that the information on the homepage on the dashboard has been updated, because there's been a little bit of activity that we've been doing whilst we've been practicing, and other than the mock tests, it records what we've done. So here the charts on the right have been updated a little bit. The scores will have been updated as relevant. So again, it's dynamic. It updates every time you have a bit of a practice. As long as I say, with those mock tests, you complete them. You must complete the mock tests all the way through. Otherwise, you're going to be losing that valuable information and feedback. Okay, so I did hope you found that useful. Please, as always, if you have any queries about this app or any of the other apps, if you want any advice or guidance on how to practice with them effectively, other than what's been contained within this video, then please get in touch via comments or via email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, cheers, bye.